There's a haunted spot to be found in every state. But which are the most haunted in America? We found 40 places in the US that are known for their paranormal activity. They range from hotels to lighthouses to former prisons. The stories behind why ghosts lurk in these spots are fascinating and often gruesome tales. Keep watching for some interesting history and a good scare. Today, we are going to share with you the top 10 most haunted houses in the United States. Before starting this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming videos. Number 10, the King's Tavern. Built in the late 1700s in Natchez, the King's Tavern is one of the oldest buildings in the state. The restaurant and bar have a rich and somewhat disturbing history. A man named Richard King bought the building years after it was constructed. The story goes that he hired a young girl named Madeline to be a waitress and then had an affair with her. When King's wife found out, she had the girl killed. It's said that Madeline's spirit now haunts the tavern. Then, in the 1930s, 3 mummified bodies were found in the tavern's chimney. Some say that these are the bodies of those murdered by the Hart brothers, who are often referred to as America's first serial killers. The Hart brothers were known customers at the restaurant. Today, visitors to the restaurant report heat coming from the fireplace even when it's not lit, shadowy figures, doors shutting inexplicably. Number 9, Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. Sarah Winchester commissioned the building of her mystery house in 1886, after her husband, gun magnate William Wirt Winchester, died of tuberculosis and her infant daughter died shortly after. She was told by a medium that she would forever be haunted by the ghosts of those killed with Winchester rifles, so many believe Sarah Winchester built the home in the 1800s to confuse and trap evil spirits that haunted her. Sarah used the money she inherited from her husband's death to employ 16 carpenters who worked 24 hours a day until her death in 1922, resulting in a bizarre house that at its peak had a total of 200 rooms, 10,000 windows and 2,000 trapdoors, regular doors, and spy holes. Number 8, the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River, Massachusetts. Now a museum and a bed and breakfast, the Lizzie Borden house was the scene of the gruesome murders of Andrew and Abby Borden, who were found in 1892 covered in blood and beaten to death with an axe. Lizzie, the Borden's daughter, was the prime suspect in the case. The charges against Lizzie were later dropped due to lack of physical evidence, and no one else was ever charged with the murders. The case remains unsolved. Today, guests can stay in the room where Abby was killed. According to employees and visitors, the home is full of paranormal activity such as an apparition in Victorian clothing and sounds of weeping, doors opening and closing, footsteps, and conversations in empty rooms. Number 7, Denver and Rio Grande Railroad Depot in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now home to the Utah State Historical Society, the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad Depot was built by George Gould for the Rio Grande Western Railroad and was a travel hub in the early 1900s. A woman in a purple dress haunts the women's bathroom of the Rio Grande Cafe. According to Haunted Houses, this woman was hit by a train after her fiancé threw her engagement ring onto the tracks during a fight. The ghost of George Gould is also said to make the occasional appearance on the balcony and in the lobby. Number 6, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is Florida's first lighthouse. The tower's lens is the original lens that was installed during the 1870s. Besides being known for its rich history, the lighthouse is also known for the ghosts that haunt it. It's believed that multiple tragic events that occurred in or near the lighthouse are the cause for the site's paranormal activity. There's the story of the lighthouse keeper who fell and died while painting the tower, and the story of 3 children who were playing in a cart near the tower, which broke and fell into the ocean, causing them to drown. Visitors claim they've seen the keeper's ghost watching the grounds and heard the sounds of children playing nearby. Number 5, Myrtle's Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. Known as one of America's most haunted homes, the Myrtle's Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana, started as a working mansion during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Rumor has it that the house was built on top of a former burial ground, and throughout the years there have been numerous ghost sightings. The most well-known being Chloe, a former slave at the plantation. The legends that surround Chloe vary, but most say she poisoned the plantation owner's 2 children, and was then hanged by her fellow slaves. Chloe is said to have appeared as an apparition in a photograph taken by the plantation's proprietress in 1992. Number 4, the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. A mix of beautiful architecture and crumbling prison cells, the Ohio State Reformatory saw plenty of violence during the 94 years the prison was in operation. The reformatory opened in 1896, hoping to be a place where juveniles were made into better people. In 1990, the federal order that closed the prison cited brutalizing and inhumane conditions. One of the most violent incidents that occurred at the prison was the kidnapping and killing of an employee's wife and daughter, which was carried out by 2 parolees in 1948. Just 2 years later, the warden's wife was shot dead by a gun that fell on the floor as she was picking up a jewelry case. Years later, the warden himself died of a heart attack in his office. One inmate reportedly killed his cellmate and then stuffed his body under a bunk. Tour guides and visitors alike say they can still hear the warden and his wife having conversations. Number 3, LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans, Louisiana. The LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans, Louisiana, is said to be haunted by the ghosts of the owner's victims. The LaLaurie Mansion is named after its owner, Madame Delphine LaLaurie. After LaLaurie's third husband left her and returned to France, rumors started circulating that she went crazy and started torturing the slaves who lived and worked in her mansion. It was believed that LaLaurie tortured her slaves in grotesque ways, drilling holes into their heads, breaking their bones, or removing their intestines. The ghosts of her victims are said to have remained in the mansion. Visitors claim they can still hear their screams. Number 2, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia. Originally built as a place of healing, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum welcomed its first patients in 1864. The building, which is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America, was built to house 250 people. At its peak in 1950, the asylum was home to 2,400 patients, many of whom endured lobotomies and electroshock therapy. Mental health reforms and the building's poor condition caused the asylum to close in 1994. However, many patients died during the facility's 130 functioning years. Some are believed to haunt the building's halls, which is why the asylum attracts visitors and ghost hunters. Number 1, Hotel Monte Vista in Flagstaff, Arizona. Monte Vista's most well-known ghost story is that of room 305. This room is thought to have been occupied by an old woman who was a long-term renter and used to sit in a rocking chair near the window for hours. Today, guests, as well as staff, see the chair rocking on its own. Some have even seen the old lady sitting in it. Other paranormal activity includes the sound of a screaming infant that comes from the hotel's basement and sends housekeepers running, a phantom bellboy who knocks on doors and announces room service, and the ghosts of 2 prostitutes who in the early 1940s were killed in room 306 and then thrown from the window. The most bizarre is the Meat Man, a long-term guest who stayed in room 220 in the 1980s and hung raw meat from the chandelier in his room. His body was discovered in his room 3 days after he had been killed. So there you have it. That's a wrap for the top 10 most haunted houses in the United States. Which place you think got the most scariest story? Let us know in the comment section below. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more upcoming videos.